study trip, you have to remember, and we stress this at the beginning, if you want to go on the study trip, the study obligations are your own. It's up to you to make sure you don't have too many conflicts with your other classes. It's up to you to try to work out what needs to be done, what you would be missing that week. Can you deal with that, and so on, right? And this is something we said from the very beginning. Only sign up for the study trip if you really think it's feasible, that you can really do it, and that, for instance, you're not expected that same week to be defending your master's thesis or something like that. Yeah? So we want to, again, stress this message so that there's no misunderstandings later. We don't want people coming and saying, oh, yeah, no, I can't do it. I've got a test, a quiz that week. That's not going to be acceptable. Yeah? It's your guys' responsibility. The second thing that I want to stress, just because I've been in contact with some people who I'm coaching, and we want to emphasize this message. I mean, again, think also about the overlapping, the intersecting of the pathways in your different kinds of projects. Some of you guys will be getting feedback about that from your coaches. Please don't lose track of that. For instance, if you're organizing an event at a school, very, very interesting. We're very excited for you that you're doing that. But that also means don't just think about taking those students through each pathway, but we also want you to think creatively about maybe, and okay, it's difficult admittedly with young sixth graders or whatever, but thinking about how the pathways could be interacting for those students as well. Yeah. And the third thing that I'd just like to take the opportunity to remind you of is the people graduating in January. Please keep behind your coaches. Don't let your coaches forget about you. Okay? They're very busy. I know that they should be actively keeping track of you and helping you finish by January. But these people are busy. They might have very busy schedules, and their coaching for this class is maybe not the foremost thing on their minds. So don't lose the opportunity this week or next week to check back in with them about expectations, about timings, and things like that. Okay? So those are my announcements. Do you guys have questions about the project tracks, problems, other things? Yes?
Yes, for the attending events, we don't feedback, but do we need to respond to that feedback right now, or will we give our feedback for the second?
I mean, I can't say for sure. I don't know what you're talking about, feedback on Toledo, or you have face-to-face feedback, or what? On Toledo. I mean, and you're talking about feedback about the proposal, or feedback after you did a reporting after the first 3 or 4 events?
No, that proposal.
Okay, I mean, that, for instance, that Toledo, I don't know who exactly your coach is, but the way I think most coaches approach that was, we put, you know, reminders in that feedback on Toledo for you to say, for instance, I saw many people not really making an effort to think about the philosophical side, and I said, okay, you can go to those things, but my feedback is I expect to see more creative thinking about events with the philosophical side in the second semester, right? And then, indeed, you deal with that feedback through your second proposal, right? On the other hand, a good idea for all the people doing attend events is if you got some kind of feedback that, for instance, your coach said, wait a second, all of your events are about the technological sustainability. When you do the reporting after halfway through, right, at the end of the semester you're supposed to do reporting, that you talk about that feedback and whether you agree with it or not. So when you actually went to that event, did you see something else besides only the technological sustainability stuff? You know, and then that's an interesting way to respond to that feedback. Yeah, and you're building, again, you're building a case for yourself of how you're trying to really deal with this class, which is a good thing for you and your evaluation. Yeah? Other questions? Yes? When is the defense for attending events? Don't confuse everything. The attending events has a reporting process at the end, not a defense process like the planning event would have. Yeah. And I think I can't remember it off the top of my head, but I think it's in the slides on Toledo that we put timing guidelines for people finishing attend events in the second semester. There's a certain week, I think it's maybe week 7 or something, but I don't shoot me dead, I don't remember off the top of my head, but I think first place to look is the slides. The second person to ask about that is your coach and to arrange a timing. Yeah? Yeah? Question?
About attending event. So if there's some reason I'm missing some events, so I can change to another event to.
Sure,
Yeah.
we're flexible. I mean, okay, let's say you plan to go to 6 events in this semester, you only went to 3, all right, then it's your responsibility, you have to make up for that.
But it's not in the proposal because I missed that event. I have to change
Okay,
another
but again,
event.
in your reporting at the end of this semester, you have to be clear, and again, remember we want for the attending event people, and that's the most of you, we want some kind of proofs through selfies of attending the event. Then in that reporting, you talk about the events that you did go to. Maybe your coach is going to want to know why you didn't go to those other ones. And then you're going to have an adapted plan for the second semester. Yeah?
Yeah.
There was a question here? No? Question? For the people going on the study trip, there will be an information session. You want to say something else about that?
No, we received already information about registration, or still next week or next week on second semester we'll have details. But you know the dates already, yes?
Yeah? Pardon? Do you have to do some research in the beginning? To my knowledge, yes?
Yes, you will get an assignment before you leave, and then during the study trip yourself, you have to finish the assignments.
Understand? Yeah? Yes, is that a question? No? Okay, so last things to keep in mind, please check Toledo for which lecture hall room, which all of you have to be in